Hello everyone, Chef here. It's that time of year again, where our Fortnite season has ended and a new one is coming soon. So as tradition on this channel, now it's time to give my thoughts and opinions on it and review it. Also, thanks for everyone who watched the last review. I'm really surprised we got that many views, but really, thanks again. Also, another thing before we start, these end of season reviews aren't the same as these reviews, although I may review a season in that series even though I reviewed it here. So, Chapter 3 Season 3, what a season. The general player base's opinion of this season was it was pretty good up to when the Butterbloom or Shuffled Shrines was added in, then it went downhill from there. From the looks of things, I think this is probably the most hated season since Chapter 2 Season 6. I get people getting burnt out over the game, but Jesus, the reception was bad. But what do I think of it? I actually really enjoyed it and I liked it more than last season in fact. But it did come with its issues as well. The first main issue I think was how long the season was. It started at the start of June and finished in September, and by late July, people already started to not play the game and moved on to something else. And yes, although I like this season, it did go on for a bit too long. It should have ended at the end of August because Jesus, it was a slight drag. And the other issues I will get to in a bit, but now I'm going to talk about right at the start of the season. So in the collision event, the 0 point became 3 once again, and the imagined order was defeated, for now at least, and after a long war between the Resistance and the IO, the Loopers decided to celebrate in the best way possible by going absolutely bonkers, destroying everything to do with the IO and building just fun stuff in the place of those buildings. And that's where the tagline of the season comes from, vibing. Although, you know, the whole stand up and dance thing doesn't work that well with a Battle Royale game, a game where you go around eliminating people. I think that's what they tried to push a lot of this season, but failed because who's really gonna do that?
Fortnite Battle Pass. I
first want to talk about the Battle Pass and the skins I released, before getting into the real meat and potatoes of the season. In my completely honest opinion, this Battle Pass was shit. A huge step down from the previous Battle Pass, it just felt like they got a bunch of skins I like to call skins that they give a slight amount to lore to in a story, but forget they exist after a season, and make the skins based off concepts that have been reused hundreds of times already, like Knights and Ninjas, and they crammed them all in this Battle Pass. The first skin was Evie, and she was I'm interested in the organisation she's working for, the Syndicate, and I kinda hope they come into the storyline at some point in full force. The pickaxe is quite unique and I ran it a lot, but the other stuff, nah, I never did. 4 out of 10 for the skin, 5 out of 10 for the cosmetics. Snap was the new customisable skin for this season. The skin itself isn't bad whatsoever, but it is a bad customisable skin. There was about 3 different torso and leg styles, and it felt quite limited in all honesty, but I did enjoy making different variations of the skin and collecting the different parts from the season. Utility Claymore is a pickaxe I used quite a lot on Sith Trooper this season, as it fit quite well, and Tova is pretty cool, but I kinda forgot I had him. 6 out of 10 for the skin, 4 out of 10 for the cosmetics. Adira, I thought was quite decent. I like the different styles she had. There aren't a lot of skins with that type of colour combinations in the game. And I'm happy that her pickaxe is a lance, so I got to try out the new lance pickaxe animation. Her battling was okay, but the glider was really cool. Stormfarer was a case of this, and his main style was meh, reminded me of Raptor quite a lot, but his Storm Defier armour was really cool. However, the pickaxe of Stormfarer blades goes so well with any skin, they're so versatile, and the same goes for the cape as well. 7 out of 10 for the skin, 8 out of 10 for the cosmetics. Malik was another case of this, and he just wasn't good. There's far better night skins in the game than him. Even though the pickaxe and the backbling were generic, it did have some good styles, like the pickaxe had a fire style, which looked really cool. And the Sovereign Griffin was also a very nice glider. 5 out of 10 for the skin, 6 out of 10 for the cosmetics. Sabina is decent, I liked her mini storyline she had going on, but the rest of the cosmetics were pretty much things you've already had before. 5 out of 10 for the skin, 3 out of 10 for the cosmetics. It's fucking Darth Vader, what else am I supposed to say? Although his eyes look a bit bigger than they should be. The Probe Droid is a backbling I've been longing for a while. There needs to be more droid backblings in the game. Sigil of the Empire, are you fucking joking? Seriously, you could have added in the lightsaber, and you added in a pizza slicer with the Imperial logo on it. What the fuck? And the Lambda class shuttle is very large, I give it that. I would say they should have given me his TIE fighter, but there's already 2 in the game, so I get why they gave him his shuttle instead. 9 out of 10 for everything in this section. Fuck you, Sigil of the Empire. And for the final Battle Pass skin, Indiana Jones. I'm happy he's in the game and he looks pretty much exactly like Harrison Ford. The backbling and pickaxe are very nice and can be worn on a variety of skins, I like the Raft Glider because of its animation. 8 out of 10 for everything here. And overall, I'd probably give this Battle Pass a 5 out of 10. I'm not going to go over the back bling pickaxes and emotes this season because I won't have a lot to say about them. Blizzard Bomber is meh, 3 out of 10. Unchained Jones is alright, 4 out of 10. Aside from the fact Zero War is one of the worst f***ing things Fortnite has made in recent memory, the cosmetics were actually pretty decent, and that's no different for Spider-Man Zero, although I kinda wish he liked the 7's armour, 7 out of 10. I literally know nothing about Naruto, but these look cool I guess, 5 out of 10. Foxfire is pretty decent, but correct me if I'm wrong, he doesn't have all the styles Manic has, so 6 out of 10. Major Mancake was a really good skin for free, and it was 100% worth the effort of playing Fall Guys to get, and I think they should have done a Roman and Atlantean version of Mancake, since this one has been promoted as the Neo version, 8 out of 10. Federa is alright, although she's kind of forgettable for the crew, 4 out of 10. Of course Peely is the Morbius of Fortnite, it's a lazy reskin with 2 differences from the original, 3 out of 10. The 4-pack was pretty good aside from them locking the Stormbreaker for about a week. I like both skins the same. I like the costume they chose for Thor Odinson, the colours look nice, and for Mighty Thor it's a cool take on the character, 7 out of 10. And for the Chapter 1 skins, they really came out of nowhere, but I do think they are pretty cool, and I almost bought one but held off. My only problem is I don't really like the clothes they chose, they could have done armour or something along those lines, 7 out of 10. Unstuffed Guff is really funny to me, 6 out of 10. Riptide Raz is far better than the original because of how customizable he is, 6 out of 10. And Undercover Core is another skin that is so much better than the original, 6 out of 10. Kari just looks stupid to me, 2 out of 10. Slayer Charlotte is again way better than the original, 6 out of 10. Sid is meh, 3 out of 10. Well, it's John Cena, 5 out of 10, but I'd rather have Peacemaker. Medley is a better Sunstrider, 5 out of 10. I feel like they could have done a better job with Wolverine Zero. It just looks like the Logan style of original Wolverine with some minor differences, 3 out of 10. Bellberry, 2 out of 10. Phantasm, there's been better level up pack skins, 4 out of 10. I have played Destiny 2 quite a bit before, so I do remember the characters that they've added into Fortnite. I keep thinking Exo Stranger is Cade 6, but she isn't, 5 out of 10. Ikora Ray, meh, 4 out of 10. When the original was added into the game last season, he reminded me of Commander Zavala a lot, but I forgot his name until he released this season, and I thought, oh yeah, this is what the origin reminded me of, 5 out of 10. Patrick Mahomes is an NBA player, I'm pretty sure, I'm not really into sports. The normal skin is quite cool, I like the final style of it, 6 out of 10. But the saucy style is 4 out of 10. I feel like they could have done a lot more with Loveless, 4 out of 10. Starfire could have done with another edit style, 4 out of 10. Nia is alright, 5 out of 10. Amazy is meh, 2 out of 10. This season takes place sometime after the events of the collision, where the Imagined Order's Doomsday device to Collider was destroyed by Paradigm and some loopers piloting the Mecha Strike Commander, freeing the 0 point once again. The current time on the island is a time of peace and happiness, with the loopers rebelling against Order and going completely wild from this victory. Imagined Order locations such as the Command Cavern and the Fortress completely changed, with vibrant colours coating the once dark and gloomy grey colour scheme the Imagined Order had, turning these war stations into places of fun and happiness. However, there was another looming threat for the island. As we have seen before in Season X and Chapter 2 Season 5, the 0 point needs to be in a contained environment or else it will start to create things it shouldn't, and the thing it did this season was create the reality tree. The reality tree through the course of the season spread far and wide across the island, sending locations throughout different time periods like Logjam Lumberyard and the Butter Barn. Although it is unknown what effect the reality tree has or will have on the island, it's safe to say it's not a good one, especially because of the strange entity watching the reality tree at the end of the season trailer. The scientist this season, like he's been doing for the past 2 seasons, has set us to go around the island, making us do different tasks for him and whatnot. But this season it's been more focused on the 0 point and the reality tree.
So can you find a seed for me? I need to run some tests.
We first started to get samples for the scientist to study of the reality tree. When the 0 point started to create earthquakes and people from around the Omniverse started arriving on the island, the scientists got a little worried.
There it is again! Another 0 point energy shockwave, magnitude 7.2!
And started to focus his efforts on controlling the 0 point and letting the reality tree do its own thing. There were 2 relics that arrived from different places across space and time, so Epic could include more cloud characters in the Battle Pass, but I'm not complaining because they're pretty good. These relics were a Sith Holocron and the Golden Idol from Indiana Jones, and a standard chair which came from Fortnite's universe. and as the scientist was occupied studying the 0 point, something happened. The Foundation, Origin, Visitor, Imagined and Order all disappeared throughout the season slowly until it became an issue and the scientist was gone, then the Paradigm. The scientist said he was in an underground lab with the Visitor and Origin, but we know something was up because he coughed mid-sentence.
I found the scientist. He's in his underground biolab researching that strange substance spreading across the island. The Visitor is there too, along with Origin.
Then for the end of the season, no one in the 7 was answering, and Amy was trying to find them.
I think the 0 point brought us an old 7 comms relay. We should collect it and try to contact the scientist. It's dead. And I'll be honest, I've destroyed all of my dongles in several dark charging experiments. Oh, we can charge it by passing it through some quantum energy clouds. Put on the scientist!
And towards the end of the season, they started to release teasers for the next season, which is strange to say the least, and currently I don't know how it fits in with the story of season 3. So this time around I'm going to go over each update individually, instead of clumping everything together like I've done before. This was the launch of season 3. I've already gone over the story for this season, so I'm not going to explain again why these locations are here. On the first day of the season there were 2 new locations, well technically 3, in a new biome. So the 0 point became free and created the reality tree, which made the biome I like to call the 0 point forest biome. This biome replaced the peaceful Camp Cuddle, leaving only a tiny stream that was once there, and a gas station rebuilt out of wood. Many other landmarks were gone because of this change, like the minnows and the windbreakers. The new location in place of Camp Cuddle was Reality Falls, and I think it was pretty decent. I think it fit in with the atmosphere of the season quite a lot. I quite liked how there was a museum near the reality tree, and how we could go into the reality tree itself, and the best bit would have to be the underground cave system, that could be accessible from many entrances. I rate this location a 7 out of 10. The second location was Mushroom Greasy Grove. This biome brought a whole new range of different foliage, and one of the main ones were the giant mushrooms that primarily sprang up in Greasy Grove, completely wrecking the place. Mushrooms lifted up bits of houses and shops. And this again was another really cool change. I like how they put chapter on locations on the map, but unlike last chapter where we still had retail roam and change for seasons, we get some new changes that we've never seen before. I also like how with this location, how there's some buildings such as the gas station and this blue house elevated up on wooden beams to try not to get affected from mushrooms down below. I just really like this location, 8 out of 10. The other major map change in the first update was the main location of the theme of this season you could say, and that was Rave Cave. This has to be one of my all-time favourite locations in the entire game's history up to this point. To me it's sort of like what the grotto would have been if it survived the flood. The use of Chapter 2 Season 3 Fortilla walls really engraved it in stone that this season was a true successor to Chapter 2 Season 3. And surprisingly, from what I've seen, this location is very underrated. When I usually dropped here, I don't know if it's because of how large a location is itself, but no one really dropped here, which was good for me so I could loot everything. But damn, I am certain this location won't be here next season. Also, this place was really good for doing daily challenges, so another point to Rave Cave. However, for now, I'm going to save a lot of stuff I want to say about this location, because it deserves a video itself. 10 out of 10. That was all for locations in the first update, but there were a couple of new landmarks. One that stood out to me was Loot Lake, with the place where the Collider once stood being in ruin, and replaced with a variety of party stuff. Although, it would have been really cool if this wasn't here, and was replaced with what it looked like in the event after the Collider fell through the ground. 6 out of 10. At the start of the season, we got a couple of new weapons, and one new item. The 2-shot shotgun at the start of the season was pretty shit in all honesty. I would get the primal or the auto shotgun instead, but when they buffed it, I gave it a second chance, and it was better. It may be because I'm used to the first person scope guns now, but the hammer assault rifle was just so meh, I couldn't differentiate between the combat rifle half the time. And the DMR was meh. I didn't really like how there was a lot of challenges that made you use it in the season, and how it didn't count as a sniper. And the only item that was added was the Reality Sprout, which I never really used apart from a challenge. It reminded me of tents a lot. Oh yeah, balls were unvaulted, but they had a stupid f***ing battery gimmick that made it run out really fast. The second update in the season brought Darth Vader as a boss onto the island. As a Star Wars fan myself, this was very cool. I liked how they put in effort with the Darth Vader boss, giving him force abilities. Obviously we can't get that because some competitive player would whine about it on Twitter, but it's cool nonetheless. And correct me if I'm wrong, but Darth Vader's lightsaber was the only lightsaber that could be thrown, so that's a bonus. Darth Vader would also spawn at an Imperial docking bay each match, so that's pretty cool. I also find it pretty funny that none of the Imperial docking stations are in the desert because
I don't like sand. It's coarse and rough and irritating, and it gets everywhere.
And in this update, we got the first location that had a smaller reality tree grown in it, Logjam Lotus. People thought at first that this location would be a fusion with Lucky Landing because of the saplings resembling to the pink tree in the centre of Lucky Landing, but instead we got something very different. The bloomed locations reality tree sent them throughout different time periods, but tried to keep the general layout of what the original location looked like. And Logjam Lotus had 3 different themes: Pirate, Roman and Western. For me, I can't decide if I like the Western or Pirate version more, because they were both really good. I liked how the main building for Logjam for both of these themes kept the structure of it, but turned it into something that fits into the time period. Like Western Logjam Lotus's main building was a mine, and Pirate Logjam Lotus's main building was a shipping port, I think. But the Roman one I thought was very meh, and I thought the same about every Bloom POI that had the Colosseum variant. They all just felt the same and there was no variation between them, apart from how the buildings were laid out. I'd give this location a 6 out of 10. And in between 21.10 and 21.20, you got the second bloomed location, the Butter Bloom. This was really good, but only for one of its variations, the one that they decided to stick with after the mini reality tree started to give their energy back to the main reality tree, the Neo variation. This was just so cool. They even made new walls and props to fit in with the aesthetic of the Butter Barn in a futuristic setting, and I hope it gets added into creative, but it's highly unlikely because you know how Fortnite is. There was also the Atlantean version that literally just copied the placement of the Butter Barn and nothing else. It would have been really good if it had some effort put into it so it looked like a restaurant. And the final variation was the Roman variation, which had a single new prop, a stone carved man cake face. I respect the effort, but again, it just stripped the restaurant of the Butter Barn and replaced it with some shrines and seats in every room. In this update we got 3 new weapons. The Charge SMG, also known as was unfortunately added in this update. My opinion on charged weapons has been the same since the charged shotgun was added in Chapter 2 Season 3. When you use it, it's complete shit. When someone else uses it, you're more than likely to die every time you encounter someone with it. We also got the Firework Flare Gun, which is just a flare gun but worse. And we got the new Ripsaw launcher, which reminded me a lot of the Recycler, which tied into the construction of a new Logjam building, since Logjam itself got bloomed. And the main attraction of this update was Shuffled Shrines, Indiana Jones' location. This location, like the other locations, would switch every game, but not through different time periods. It would switch the placement of some of the temples and access points to underground areas. To my surprise, some people never actually noticed that this place did this, but I thought it was obvious because of the name Shuffled Shrines. This location had a gimmick that has been unseen in Fortnite before. Replicating the movie, you would look around and find stones in the ground, and then you would go to the main shrine room to run through the iconic Indiana Jones scene, where he takes a golden idol and runs away from a fast moving boulder. I really like this location, but I didn't land here a lot because there were a lot more cool locations that came about this season than this one, but I can tell that next season it's probably going to go. 7 out of 10. Then in the middle of 21.20 and 21.30, we got some creative quests to do called the Island Hopper Challenges. These were very annoying from what I remember, and they really need to pick better maps for cosmetic rewards. This was again another quite big update with a lot of stuff happening in it. Another weapon was added, the Prime Shotgun. I think is pretty good, it's like the heavy shotgun but better. In the location, well, landmark was Sleepy Shrubs. I thought the reality tree was going to affect the entirety of Sleepy Sound, but no, it only affected the houses above the main part of the location. Although the houses were really nice, especially in Chapter 3 Season 1, when the map was entirely covered in snow, this was a pretty good map change. And of course my favourite variation was the Neo variant. They did a really good job with the Neo places unlike the other ones. The Colosseum and Coral variants were again really meh, but the Western variant was pretty nice, but even that was getting slightly repetitive, 6 out of 10. And to prepare for the summer event at the beaches of the Sanctuary, the No Sweat organisation returned, this time to celebrate with the Loopers by building some party themed places. To be completely honest, I keep forgetting this event even happened. It wasn't that bad I would make a video on it like I did with Cosmic Summer, but it was still pretty meh. For me, Fortnite seasonal events are usually at its best for Halloween and Christmas. The only good summer event they did was the 14 Days of Summer. Basically, the organisation No Sweat Insurance, who have played a small part in Fortnite's general storyline, decided this period of peace on the island would be a good time for business. The main attraction of this event was near the Sanctuary, where they made a stage, skate park and put some general fun activities around the place for us to enjoy. However, the main problem with this event is that it's a battle royale game, and that at this current point is very competitive, and you could just tell in the trailer for the event they wanted us to go to this area to emote and mess around, but I don't think anyone did. Also, since Tilted Towers was heavily affected in Chapter 3 Season 2, with a lot of its iconic buildings getting destroyed from the battle for Tilted Towers, Fortnite decided to do the Block 2.0, and oh boy, what a failure. In the video where I make my own Tilted Block submission, I mentioned about it being very limited, because you could only use the Tilted 2.0 galleries and nothing else. I get that there needs to be some continuity and professionalism when building a tower for one of the most urban areas on the map, but there should have been some more stuff available to use. And the worst part of it all, there was a bug. So they use the same system that they've used before for the voting systems in seasons like Chapter 2 Season 8, but there was one problem. So there was a Rebuild Tilted Towers questline where you had to donate gold to one of the funding stations, and since this isn't a weapon and it's a generally competitive game, people just walk up to the funding station and press on the first option that came up. The problem is, when you would go on a funding station to donate, you would automatically go to the third option, and because a large majority of the player base isn't going to look at each building individually and pick, this is Tilted Towers, one of the most contested areas on the map, all of the third options won. No offense to the people who made these buildings, but the only one that looked good and stood out was the Pizza Pit building. The rest felt like buildings that have already been in the game before, with no uniqueness whatsoever. And this was a time period in the season where not that many people played, which I can't blame them for not doing in all honesty. But there was one more thing before 21.40 happened. The houses at Condo Canyon had a reality tree growing at the centre of it, which changed the location like the other Bloom locations through the Western, Coral, Pirate and Roman, and its name was changed to Bungalow Blooms. This was a very change at this point. I was just kinda getting sick of just those getting added in. The coral variation, well, I've already said what I wanted to say about the coral stuff before, so. The Western variation was alright, it just felt the same as Sleepy Shrubs. But the pirate theme was really cool, and I'm kinda sad I only came here once for the Fortnite exploring of Bungalow Blooms. It was actually really nice. And I will sound like I'm contradicting myself here a lot, but this being the only location to be Roman themed was a good idea to say the least. I really like the name they gave it after the reality tree stopped switching between different time periods, the Condoseum. This was the update in the season that revived the game for a lot of people, because at this point people started to move to other games, because even I admit it was dragging hard on the floor. This update brought one of the most popular franchises into the game, Dragon Ball Z. Even though I have very limited knowledge on DBZ, don't worry, I won't be saying Kamehameha like this.
So we all know the Kameyamama.
And I saved the DBZ skins for this section as well. Goku's pretty cool, 7 out of 10. I prefer Vegeta more than Goku just because of how he looks, 8 out of 10. Beerus looks cool as well, 6 out of 10. And Bulma is alright, 5 out of 10. We also got some new items for this collab, the Kamehameha Mythic and the Nimbus Cloud. My opinion on the Kamehameha is the same opinion as my opinion of what I had about the Brutes in Season X. It's fun when you're using it, but when someone else is using it, it's a direct opposite. However, about 2 weeks after this update dropped, people found out ways to easily eliminate people when using it, because it's pretty defenseless when you start to charge up the attack, so I saw a heavy downflux in my games of people using it. And the Nimbus Cloud was just a reskin Silver Surfer surfboard from Chapter 2 Season 4, but it's good mobility nonetheless. This update also got rid of the Daily Bugle, probably because the contract between Sony and Epic expired, and it was replaced with Lazy Lagoon. I have a lot to say about this location. First, in my opinion, this didn't feel special at all. All of the excitement for the pirate themed stuff disappeared after Logjam Lotus got its pirate variation with the pirate ship as well, the main part of Lazy Lagoon. Secondly, this isn't the same Lazy Lagoon as Chapter 1's Lazy Lagoon. They made the location so it could fit inside the volcano. And I wouldn't say that it was a bad thing that it wasn't the same as Chapter 1, it's like they Chapter 3ified it. And thirdly, I find it sort of ironic how Lazy Lagoon was put in the volcano, since Lazy Lagoon and the original volcano both arrived in Chapter 1 Season 8. However, apart from all my critiques, I genuinely enjoyed coming back to a place that was like Lazy, and I dropped here a lot, especially when the Fire Week started, because pretty much every building here is built out of wood. These updates brought pretty much nothing to the game, so that's why I combined them together. Actually, 21.50 took away game mode, Imposters got vaulted. Yes, I haven't played the game mode in over a year when it got vaulted, but it's still a very stupid decision. This update also brought back Wild Weeks into the game, which are pretty good. It's always fun to use weapons I haven't used in a while. And oh boy, 21.51. People were getting so hyped about it thinking this could be the update with a live event in it, but no, the only thing that got changed was something to do with the voice chat, I'm pretty sure. At the time of writing this video, there have been video teasers for next season that shows how this chrome turns things into metal. My prediction may sound far-fetched, and when this video comes out, we'll see if it actually happens, but I have a feeling next season will be about the AI the scientists created, Amy, going rogue. My evidence for this theory is that this is chrome and Amy's an AI, and in fiction when an artificial intelligence gets physical form, it's made out of metal. And look at the season's tagline, it's metallic for one, and secondly that word, paradise. I think what they're going for the word paradise is a play on the word. This is paradise for someone else. In the context of this prediction, I think it's Amy, but it may be another character. But this isn't paradise for us, far from it. This season has been a real mixed bag for everyone who's played it. Me personally, like I've said before, I did like it better than last season, but we did have more problems than the last two. My personal problem with this season was how the map changes were only landmarks, and they kept on rehashing the same time periods over and over again. And I know for a fact there's a far bigger range than Western, Neo, Atlantean, Roman and Pirate. Just for a couple of examples, there's Primal, Aliens, Cube, Flooded, Medieval and Spies, just to name a few. And the second main big problem for the player base entirely was a loophole. Epic has known for a while at this point that not a lot of people like the new guns, but they keep on adding in new ones that are somehow shitter than the last. It's kind of annoying. But this to me felt like the Chapter 2 Season 2 of the chapter, because of its length and the successor to Chapter 2 Season 3. It generally made me happy seeing all those things being reused, and it brought me back to a time when, well, things were more simpler and I didn't have to worry about recording me walking around the shack on the last day of the season because I forgot until now. After looking at what I've gave the previous two seasons, I've come to the conclusion to give this season a 7.9. Yes, weird score, but I wanted to put it higher than Chapter 3 Season 2 and lower than Chapter 3 Season 1, as I didn't want to change the scores I gave them when those seasons ended. At the time of writing this outro, it is the 17th of September, and this video will probably be uploaded this time next week. And it's literally one sleep away from Chapter 3 Season 4 happening. Very crazy to think there's been 4 seasons in the space of a year since Chapter 3 started. I'll be back again at the end of Chapter 3 Season 4 to give my thoughts and opinions on it. I always set my expectations low for a new season, ever since the trio shit happened. And I'm a bit worried since Cypher PK revealed his icon skin, which had gameplay in Chapter 3 Season 4, and the chrome reminds me of Chapter 2 Season 8's Cube Trail, and how that was. But who knows what it'll be like. And for now, this is all. I hope you enjoyed this video, and see ya.